just forget it. You're never going to make it in the music industry. You're too old, too ugly, too fat. You're never going to make it. Just forget it. I'm only joking. You have got the option to make it if you have one of these: a rich parent, or a job that pays you really well, or you've got some inheritance from someone that dearly loved you. Unless you got one of those three, you're probably not going to make it. And the only way you're going to make it is if you take these tips from me. I've been making music for about 20 years now. I haven't had a successful career, but I also haven't had a failed career. I make money off of music, but not in ways that you'll think. So let's dive into it and let me show you. Now, there's a lot of YouTube gurus out there that give you advice on how to make money off of music and making a successful career and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. They're all talking a load of crap. Don't listen to any of them. And I'm not saying you have to listen to me because I'm a YouTuber as well, technically. But all I'm telling you is my advice is going to be very straightforward, and it's not going to be about going around bends and corners and taking the long route and da-da-da-da-da. I'm going to give you a shortcut. So this is it. So firstly, you want to make money off of music in indirect ways. And what I mean by this is, for example, if you're a producer like myself, what I normally like to do is I like to sell sample packs online. I like to sell EPs on cassettes and vinyl. Sometimes I'll do little mini sort of gatherings in venues where I'll invite some of my listeners to come over and listen to some of my music and other people's music in that venue, and I can sell tickets and make money off of that. Sometimes you'll get the opportunity to get sync deals. Now, for me, I got particularly lucky with one of my tracks. It got picked up by a gaming company and it got landed on one of their adverts on TikTok, and currently it's sitting on 500 million views, which is crazy numbers. A lot of musicians will die to get those numbers. Even mainstream musicians don't even get those numbers sometimes. So I'm pretty lucky and I'm very privileged to be in that position. But the way I got there wasn't through luck or wasn't through some sort of magic. I got there by doing analytical, surgical movements in the music industry. So the way I did it was I actually started looking around for distributors that were brand new, that were promoting artists more heavily than existing distributors. So for example, if you went through someone like DistroKid is good, but they're bad. They're good as in they're cheap and they're reliable and they do what they say, but they're bad because they don't offer any promotional products. They don't do marketing services. They don't do artist development. They don't do any of that business. Now, all of those things combined obviously sounds like a record label. And you would probably be asking yourself, well, isn't it better to get signed by a record label and try to get signed by a record label if you want those things? No, in this day and age, you don't need any of that. If you've got access to the internet, a shitty laptop, a phone, and just some basic knowledge about marketing, you can do all those things by yourself. You actually don't need anyone to do that for you. Now, the way I did it was I went through someone called SoundOn. Now, SoundOn is owned by TikTok, and these guys are basically a brand new distribution company that's been going for the last 4 or 5 years now. I got with them a couple of years ago because I realized my tracks that I've had on DistroKid for many, many years just weren't doing anything. They were just basically just sitting around on Spotify, Apple Music, getting a couple streams here and there, and maybe I'll get a paycheck every 3 months for maybe about £50, £100 here and there, and that was pretty much it. And I don't have a lot of listeners. I'm someone with maybe 1,000 listeners, maybe 2,000 listeners a month. I don't have crazy numbers like some of those artists that you see that have maybe 500,000, 1 million monthly listeners. I don't have that. So I'm someone in the very undiscovered niche, but I'm making more money than some of the full-time musicians out there. Now, some of the other ways that I make money is, I'm going to get back to SoundOn in a second, is I actually use emails to contact people that are running businesses like AI companies who specialize in music, companies that specialize in audio tools, companies that specialize in video cameras and that kind of stuff. And what I do is I email them and I say, hey, my name is Joshkin, I'm a music producer. Would you be interested in me reviewing one of your products on my website or my channel, on my YouTube channel? And these guys normally give you a chance. Because you're a small content creator, they normally like to pay you a little bit less because you're obviously not as well known, you don't have a lot of reach, but also it means whoever is engaging in your videos is genuine. Now, I've done this a few times now and I've had some serious luck with this, but I've also had people from companies reaching out to me directly without me even going to them. So on YouTube, once you hit a certain threshold, so if you go over 50,000 subscribers, there's some platform out there that I haven't discovered yet, but influencers and marketing campaigns and marketing managers use that platform to find people that are on YouTube. And in my case, someone found me and basically decided to sponsor one of my videos, and that video is doing pretty well right now. So going back to SoundOn was, because they were brand new and they were funding artists, careers and stuff. At the beginning stages, they were investing heavily into people's music. So one of my tracks got picked up by them and they added it to one of their tier 1 levels, which is the part where you pay them, I think it's 20% in your earnings, and you get to keep the 80%. But this also means you get an opportunity to go on one of their deals with brands. One of my tracks got picked up by that gaming brand, and it's called Shadow Legends by Raid, and they basically paid me to use the track on one of their adverts on TikTok. Now the payout wasn't great, I'll be honest with you, but what I'm doing now is every month I'll get royalties from that. It's a couple £100 there, a couple £100 here, and that helps me focus on my music. Now, every couple £100 that comes through these little places adds up very quickly. So you can go from earning nothing if you're just making music and just publishing it online, to all of a sudden making a couple £100 there, a couple £100 here, and all of a sudden at the end of the month you've got like £1,000 to £2,000 coming in. And that's on top of your regular job, by the way. You're not doing music full time, you're only doing it part time. So this is one of the beauties about being a hustler and being an entrepreneur in your mind. If you want to make it in the music industry and you want to have a successful career, and when I say successful, I don't mean chart topping and famous and everybody knows you and everybody knows your name. I mean someone who makes a living out of their music. If you want to do this, just follow these tips. 1, find a dedicated platform that you think will help you grow. So in my case, it was SoundOn. Now I'm very lucky because SoundOn wasn't as heard of back then, and I discovered it by accident on Google. I was just typing in music distribution companies that specialize in marketing, and I just found them that way. Now you could do something similar. I'm not saying you have to switch your distribution company, but that's one way that you could do it, and they'll invest in your music, and hopefully they might be able to get you some royalties through sync deals and that kind of stuff. Secondly, I would invest heavily into producing sample pack libraries for my fans. So for example, if I'm a producer, I'm making loops, drum loops, synth loops, guitar loops. I'll be working with actual guitarists or actual bass players to actually make loops for that as well. And then the third way is I would actually actively try my best to reach out to brands via email and ask them if they're interested in me making videos for them. Now, the fourth option is actually one of the most niche things that you can do. If you have more than 50 people following you, like genuinely following you, and they're very interested in your sound and they're interested in your career and they want to help you grow, what I would do is I will tell everybody, I'll say, look, listen, the more people you invite over to this venue, I'm putting on a show and basically I'm going to be gathering a couple of artists to put on some music that they perform live. And I'm just gathering some people to come around, just enjoy themselves, have a couple of drinks, just vibe to the sort of the area or the community that we're in. And we're basically putting on the show to let people connect. Now, if you know more than 50 people and you can sell each ticket at £10, I know £10 is not a lot, but when you multiply it by 50, now we're talking numbers, right? So if you can invite 100 people, now we're talking even bigger numbers. Now, I'm not saying all the money from the ticket sales are going to go to you, because you've got to still pay for the venue, wherever you're renting from. You got to pay for the management. You got to pay for the food. You got to pay for the drinks. Now, what I normally like to do is I would go to a venue that I'm familiar with. Then I'll basically talk to them and say, listen, I don't want to pay for anything else. I'm just paying for the venue. I'm going to let all these people come through. The food, I'll do that myself. I'm going to bring the food myself. So I'll probably make some homemade food just to sort of cut down on costs and stuff. And then for the drinks, I'll basically tell everyone, whoever's coming, they need to bring at least one drink with them. So it has to be a bottle of maybe some cheap champagne or cheap wine or cheap whiskey. It could be anything, just anything cheap under the value of maybe £15 or £20. What you're doing there is you're allowing people to actually come with an intention, because when you just invite people over for no reason and they're coming over to this venue, they're not really expecting anything. They're just expecting, oh, I'm just going to go and see a bunch of weird artists that are going to be performing music, and then that's pretty much it. I'm just going to go home after that. But if you invite them with an intention to come down and have a party and have a drink and chill out and like the atmosphere and hang out with people that they never met in their life, that gives you and them a connection. And that connection can go a very long way. You can then say to everyone, hey guys, by the way, my new track is releasing next month. Would you mind please streaming it on your platform, whether that's on Spotify or Apple Music? And people can go and stream that track. Now, if you get an extra 50 listeners a month or 100 listeners a month actively listening to your music just from those venues, you're winning. If you do a couple of those every week, you are winning. You can basically outsmart a lot of these record labels, and you can outsmart a lot of these big artists out there. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be an easy thing to do, because you do need a little bit of initial funding or initial capital to start with. I would genuinely say start with maybe about £1,000 to £2,000 to do this, because at the first stages you're going to have to invest probably a couple £100 in renting these venues out. Find somewhere cheap and somewhere local. Don't go too far out, because the further out you go, the more people have to travel and it becomes a whole mess. So anyway, I would allow people that are working with me to get a discount if they recommend anyone else that wants to work with me. So for example, if I'm doing production for an artist and they're really happy with the results and they've released the track and it's doing really well, they could go on and tell their friends and family and say, hey, this guy I know from London, his name is Josh Kern, he's a music producer, he's really great, he's a good guy, I'm someone very chill. I allow you to express yourself as an artist however way you like, and I don't judge you. So if I get a lot of good reviews, people start talking about me and they start mentioning my name in Facebook forums or Reddit forums, or I mean, this could be on any platform. I don't know, I don't use all these platforms, but once people start talking about you, the internet starts buzzing. And once that starts buzzing, you start to get streams on Spotify, Apple Music, and so on and so on and so. So you get the theme here. The basic idea is the more marketing you do, the more views you get, the more streams you get. And the more people hear about you, the more opportunities arise. This is the biggest secret in the music industry. There is no other formula, I guarantee it. As a creative person, this is the only formula that's going to work for you. So if you're looking to make a successful industry hack for yourself, this is basically it. So don't do anything else, just follow these guidelines. If you need to watch the video again, just go back to the beginning, watch it again. Make sure you like this video, share it with your friends and family. Don't forget, if you do subscribe, you get notifications from me if I do upload a new video. So this helps you grow as an artist if you're looking to grow. And I'll just leave it as that, you know, and if you want to talk to me, type a comment down below and I'll get back to you. Other than that, I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.